Hi, everyone, and welcome to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with Wendy K. Laidlaw. Wendy has spent the last 2 years helping women with various stages of endometriosis to heal naturally after putting her condition into remission. After her own healing success from stage 4 endometriosis and adenomyosis, she's inspired to heal others, and her goal is to help some of the 175 million women know that there is another way other than painkillers, drugs, or surgery. This is the place to be for real talk with real people for real results, so you can learn how to heal your endometriosis naturally. Please note that the opinions expressed in this program may represent options, but are not a substitute for proper medical care. Before starting any new healthcare program, we recommend you consult with a health professional.
Hey, Cristine.
Hello, Wendy.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I am very well. I'm very well. You're looking really glowing.
Yeah, thank you. And you too. And all the color you have in your picture is really makes me smile.
I'm so glad.
I've tried to do something with the light and my glasses, but there's a little reflection in it, and I can't get it to disappear.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's okay. That's good.
Absolutely. As long as we can see your lovely face, that's all that matters.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, look, thank you so much for coming on. It really means a lot to the community, to us, to hear your story, because I think, as you know, so many women go through so much and never actually get to hear. Nobody gets to hear their story, hear their voice, their trials, their tribulations, but also their successes. And I think that's an important part of the journey. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And
thank you.
And I believe we're going to be sending you one of those EndoBoss medals.
I got so touched when Christina wrote to me, and also surprised about my reaction, because and now I get emotional. Because it's like completing a circle, and you've been a part of that my trip or journey all the way.
Well, it's lovely to hear that there is emotion there, because it's an emotional journey, isn't it? And,
very much.
And I think when we're on the journey, we don't appreciate the what it takes to keep going. It would be so easy to give up, wouldn't it? But there was just something in there that said, no, we just have to keep going.
Yeah, I think I've been bumping my head against the wall many times. And every time I bumped my head against the wall, I found your book and I read it again, and it reminded me of what kind of journey I was on. So that's been very important for me.
Oh, I'm so glad. I mean, I think the medal itself, it says round the side, which I love: effort, courage, discipline, respect, honor, pride, passion, and victory.
Oh,
isn't that? And I think we've, been through so many battles, but we won the war, and hence why we need a medal. And that was my kind of rationale behind it. So are you going to be able to fly to Edinburgh so I can present it to you?
I wish I could. Then it would be after the summer. I really wish I could. I will have to.
After the summer, let us know, because you can make a lovely trip to Edinburgh at the same time. And it's like saying, it would be so lovely to meet you and present that medal myself, because and just give you a big hug, because I think sometimes we don't give ourselves enough time to celebrate and really make an occasion of it.
Yeah, that's right.
So you can let us know. You can think of it.
Yeah, I will do that. Thank you very much.
Well, look, thank you so much for coming on. And I guess, when we're talking about the journey had to start somewhere. And maybe you could just start by sharing your earliest memory of your pain, your periods, when you were younger. You could start there so that, and sort of build the picture for us.
Yeah, I'll do that. I don't remember having had any period without pain in my early years. It was from the beginning difficult, and I don't know what's that called in English, but it's like confirmation in Danish, where you go to the church when I was around 14 or 15 years old, and you tell that that you are a Christian. I'm sorry, I didn't prepare this, so
No, it's okay. And your English is awesome, by the way. So please do not worry.
And I had my period, and we were all dressed in white.
Oh my
and
goodness.
and I was like having diapers on because I was so scared to have been sitting and then getting up to stand in front of the priest and having a red area. So it's been complicated, like from the beginning. But it was and I just thought that I was just one of the unlucky girls that had these kind of pains. I went to my doctor and he said, you can get pills or you can have a baby. And I said no to both.
Yes.
So I just lived with the pain. And then in the late 20s, I wanted to get pregnant and I couldn't. So I went to my doctor and got right away to the hospital because I had 2 big cysts in each ovary at 10 centimeters in diameter.
Wow.
So and that was a long time ago. That was before we have now we have an endo clinic at the hospital. Like it's only that they work with. So I think I got this pack where I got very quickly into the hospital, and it was surgery that made the operation, and they cut me up from one side to the other and removed the cysts. But I could get pregnant. So I got my 2 children, and I completely ignored the fact that I had endometriosis. And I completely ignored it for like 15 years. But the pain began to return, and I didn't think it had anything to do with the endometriosis, because the doctors told me that they had removed it, and I was so busy being a mom and living my life and inventing a lot of needs for other people that I could go and make sure that they were all feeling very well. So I was so much in all the other people around me and not in contact with what was important for me. I thought I was, and also in that period, or that time of my life, I took an education with Debbie Ford in US. She works with shadows, and when she died, it was after my education with her. She died because she had cancer in her in her stomach, and it was removed. And then she had just been living in denial for 10 years. When the doctors asked her if she had been sick before, she said no, nothing. And then it came back and she died. And I was so angry with her. Not because I was close to her, but it really touched me deeply. But it did take me 5 years to understand that I was living in completely the same denial. Because I didn't do anything for myself, or my hormones, or making me smile, anything. I didn't do anything. And my periods became worse and worse. And then it also started to come when I had my what is it called?
Ovulation?
Yes, that's for it. Thank you. And it was when most of my month was in pain. I started to think perhaps it was related to the endometriosis. And I went back to the doctor, and they found again 2 cysts in each ovary. And they wanted to remove both my ovaries and put me on a chemical. What's that called in English?
HRT.
Yeah, because I'm 50, so it was just be much easier if I was having some medicine. but I was like, it didn't work last time, and I don't like pills. So I said no. And then I Googled and I found your book. And that was really a savior. Because you told me that it was possible to do something yourself. And I wasn't told that in the hospital. They said that's not an option. It's not possible to do anything yourself.
Yeah.
So I read your book and I read it again and again. And I think that time was difficult because I still was in the system. So I went to check, to be checked by the doctors, and they kept pushing. You need to get this surgery. And if you don't, because of your age, you're going to get cancer. And so it very much began to be a fight between my fear and my trust. But I decided to do it myself. So I read your book again. And I began to work on my whole life. Because I was living, it was a very stressful time, and it had been for many years at that point. My marriage wasn't going very well. I had been homeschooling for 10 years and working. So my calendar was just full. And when people talked about self-love, I was like, let's move on, because it was just, I got so impatient. I was like, okay, let's move on. Let's go to what's really important now. Talk about that. But so I decided to work on my life, because if I wanted to say yes to an operation, I wanted to be more in balance. That I didn't know that I wasn't in balance, that I was, very much in the deep water. And I had moved away from my husband in the work days, and then we were trying to feel good in the weekends, and we had a lot of trouble. But so I started meditating, doing the stuff, the things you tell in your book, and working on my relationship. And my relationship has been an issue all the way through. But now it's a little, in December, it's 5 years ago, I took the decision to change it myself. It's really good. But it's been a bumpy road. But it's really been one of my big victories. And my husband has been supportive all the way. He has also had to change some stuff. Me too. But at some point we talked with a clairvoyant, and he was like, I asked him, what is my endometriosis about? And then he started talking about our relationship with my husband, and I was like, oh, I thought we were doing so well, but we had a step further and further to go. So, but in 2018, I decided to make the change myself, and I started to follow your book. I didn't do a lot of vitamins and minerals and all these things in the beginning, but the fact that I had this condition made me put myself on my to-do list.
Yes.
And that was a big change. And that changed a lot in the stress in my life and the way I related to myself. That was a big change. And when I began to get some space and my periods stopped hurting so much, then I began trying with different food and all the things you write about in your book.
Yeah.
And then it's been like, it's been a little up and a little down. I did also start a podcast because I needed to believe in myself and that I had a place and a voice in this world. So it was really a big step, also because I had a lot of issues about if it was okay for me to talk about endometriosis. I hadn't cured myself when I did it. And I had a strong feeling that I needed to be done, to be completed, to be perfect, because before it was okay for me to tell or to express myself. So that was also a very big change, to step forward and to believe in myself and believe that my voice also is okay.
Yeah.
to express. So and I know that thousands of women have listened to it, but it's really bad produced, and it's like,
don't worry about that. It's your voice.
Yeah, me sitting on. We had a boat at that time with a stuff over my head, trying to make the sound good, but I did it, and it was a healing process for me. Yeah, very much. But then I started bringing in experts, making it a concept, and then I lost myself in it. So now it's on hold. I might go back to it. I still have a lot of things I would like to share, but I have to find it to be authentic for me. I have to, I think that's what I do all the time, try to return to myself again and again and again and again.
Wow.
And so the podcast is on hold right now. And then I wrote a book because I had to work with my creativity.
Yeah.
I believe that the ovaries is like creativity. It's like hvad hedder det? I wrote it down so I could be sure to say it in the right word. It's like where creation is made.
Yeah.
So I wanted to work on that in me. So I decided to write a book, trying to believe that I also can create and be creative and trust myself in that process. So I wrote this book and I started selling it and stopped selling it. So right now it's not possible to buy it because I have something that is not clear yet. I do the things I do so much because of myself and finding myself. So sometimes I find it hard sharing it. Then when I share, I begin to believe that I need or have to be in a certain way. And that balance is still very difficult for me. So I do it in the steps that I can balance, that I can where I can still have the sense of myself.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Spain for 10 months. And I moved in the mountains. So I had to go up and down the hills. So when I wanted to buy groceries or follow my son into school, I needed to go with my backpack on my back. And I didn't have a car. The car was in Denmark with my husband and daughter. And I did it because I needed to work on my relationship with my body, my trust, because all the time where I had been in denial, I didn't trust my body. I thought it was like it needs the pain. It just comes. I don't have any control over it. It take over my life.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be able to take over my life and not be scared that my body would like collapse.
Yeah.
And I couldn't trust it. So I walked the hills, the mountains, with my groceries, and also when I had my period, I did it.
Yeah.
And that was the last time we spoke. I was in Spain at that time. I still had long periods at that time. I didn't have pain, but I had long periods. That changed now, and now I have small periods.
Amazing.
Not so much blood, so that's very, very, very nice. But the month in Spain was important, building my relationship with my body. And you also told me when we talked that time that healing endometriosis was a spiritual journey. So I have worked with that. So now I'm in Denmark, and I don't have any pain. I realized at that point that if the only thing I was, if my goal was to be pain-free, then pain would always be in my life.
Yeah.
I had to be free.
Yeah.
And that was also a huge change. And I think that has been my last big change. And then I have also been working on a lot of memories, my history, and the meaning I have given my history. But yeah, I think that's been my journey, with a lot of denial, and then some crazy moves, making a podcast, writing a book, moving to Spain. But it's been like a quest.
Yeah.
I had to work with something in myself to trust myself. So it wasn't the fear that got to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps in my arms when you're saying you're on this quest.
Yeah.
Because it's an inside job.
Yeah.
At various points of your journey, you've recognized that you had to keep coming back to yourself, is what I'm hearing. Like, you knew the importance of that, and culturally and societally and globally now, everyone's trying to get everybody's attention. And because of the type of women that we are, we're exquisitely highly intuitive, sensitive people. We're not just highly sensitive. We're on the top tier of sensitivity, and it's learning really to preserve and protect that. And that means coming back in. But of course, it's challenging coming back in.
Yeah,
because we're facing projections, or the past, or fears about ourselves. But actually, the more you learn, they realize, actually, I heard you say I'm okay.
I'm okay. Yeah.
And it's such a lovely statement, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, both that I'm okay, and also that my body is completely able to heal myself. And that's
so exciting.
That's so exciting. And like, my job is figuring out how to get the way of that.
Yeah.
Because I can do a lot of stupid things to make it hard for my body. I can think, and I can feel, and I can eat, and I can stop breathing, and I can do so many things to make it difficult for my body. But and that's really something that I knew, but you learned me, that the body is able to heal itself. And I'm okay, even if I'm not perfect.
And that's it. I think I don't know about you and your journey, but I learned that I was always going for progress over perfection. I had a very strong perfectionist part. I still do. I have to manage and parent that, but it's the progress. And I'm hearing that in yourself. Recognize it's the journey and the quest inward. The more you learn about yourself, the more you learn about yourself. And then you've got to integrate that learning about your mind and your emotions and and the spiritual element as well. You got to integrate that into the current, operating system that's in the background of our brain and our body, to find, because even when I spoke to you last time, speaking to you now, there's this peace about you. I feel you have a sense of peace. You're coming home to yourself. It's a phrase a lot of women use, I've used as well, like you're coming home to you, like I'm okay. And there's something really, it gives me goosebumps, validating about that.
It is peaceful. I still challenge myself in, for example, the last couple of months of this year have been very stressful, but it's okay. And then I need to take my breaks and find my balance again. I don't want it to be like, this is the little square I can live in. I want to have the whole life to live in.
Absolutely.
Because that's also been a part of the journey, that finding out, because I had so many rules, like my self-care practice at one point was hours daily, what I needed to do. And it was difficult.
That sounds like a very stern perfectionist. There, cracking the whip, going right.
Come on. Love yourself. I remember one day in the bath, I was scrubbing myself, and it should be a self-care thing, and I was like, whoa, where are you? And I was like, I have to finish this so I can get on to the next thing in my daily practice routine. And then I had to stop. But yeah, it's a bumpy road, but it's my road. And that's really amazing.
I love the way you said that. It's my road. And also you've said a couple of times, which is lovely, it's about balance. And I realize that the secret to life is balance. The secret to balance is awareness. And the secret to awareness is journaling and meditation. That's it in a nutshell. I should trademark that thing, because it's so true, isn't it? The secret to life is balance. And we don't get taught that. We get taught all or nothing, or we get taught high, low, or we get taught your success or a failure. There are these extremes, and actually each person needs to find their own, what they define as balance as well. So what might be balance for you might not be balance for me, and be okay with taking the time to identify what is balance for ourselves.
And right now I still have issues, not with my my hormones or my periods. That's fine, but I still have issues. Then my knees or my neck, and it's the same process. It's
the principles are the same. And I think I'm hearing from you is you've learned to trust. By coming inward, you've learned to trust and listen to yourself. And it's about creating the space and time in which to do that. And that's the challenge, because we're bombarded on so many fronts. And I was also hearing at the beginning of your journey how you were putting out all of your energy and your focus to everything and everyone else. And that is a common number one trait of endometriosis. Again, what we're learning is that balance again, because the big challenge to come in because of early conditioning, perhaps, or mirroring or watching our mothers and our grandmothers, and finding ourselves as women to be able to come in and go, actually, no, I need to schedule time in my calendar for my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner, just to go and pick. I was picking raspberries off a raspberry bush with my Poppy, my dog Poppy, yesterday. And I was in the back of my mind, I really need to do this. And I'm like, no, we're raspberry picking. It's a doing, and you're enjoying it, and you're going to, just relax and be in the moment, So I still have to kind of navigate my parts too. But I love hearing that you've got this relationship with yourself.
And this summer, it has been also creating a vegetable garden.
Fantastic.
yeah, and last night I was thinking about, we have too much in our garden now. It's like it's not possible for us to eat it all, and I have been writing out to people, please come and pick something from our garden, and they don't come.
All right.
And I was like thinking about it, and I was like, no, they would rather go down and buy the lettuce in some plastic, and it's already washed. It's so much easier. Because
Such a shame, though, isn't it? Such a shame, because I was away recently, and again they cooked all their own. They grew all their own food, and the taste, the difference was amazing. So well done you for doing that.
Yeah, it's so fresh. But it takes a lot of time to make sure that there's no earth or anything on it. But it was like, I would have done the same like 4 months ago. I would have bought the plastic lettuce.
Yeah.
But instead now, so it's always a process of finding out what's important for me, what do I value, and beginning to make action steps towards that.
And that's really important. What you said there is recognizing what you value, because once you recognize your values, if at the beginning of the journey you weren't aware, you didn't have that relationship, you didn't know it was okay to even start the quest, the journey inward, you didn't know. And then obviously our bodies are this kind of alarm system that's like, hello, pay attention. I use the analogy called a tickle, a feather, a brick, or a truck. Yeah. Our body initially will tickle us and go with the feather and go, hello, pay attention. Yeah. And we ignore it. And then it throws a brick or two at us and we go, oh, ow. And we can continue to ignore it until the truck comes along and smacks us into awareness and goes, wake up. But it's interesting, the journey too, because, when we do come inward and we actually realize what's important to us, what we value, what we need, what is balance for us, invariably, it's very simple. It's not complicated. Going back to nature, coming back to ourselves, being in the moment at that moment. It's like a snapshot in time that we're able to be at that moment in your vegetable garden, admiring the lettuce or the carrot going, I grew that. Basic,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that brings more joy than a material thing, that really does feed us at our soul level, like spiritual, soulful level, is going back to the very basics. It's not complicated. And isn't it amazing to hear how your body's responded to that?
Yeah, it's really amazing. And when the last couple of months have been very stressful, and I found out that when I give a lot of energy to my head, sitting at the computer and working, my body naturally reacts. But my body is really amazing because it doesn't need so much. It just needs, it can handle so much. But if I realized that I was giving my head too much attention, I needed to give my body some more attention to make this balance. And then I began just small things, like running for 1 kilometer, just to feel my breathing, or massaging myself. Not the very routine I had years ago, but just the small things. It reacts immediately. It's
I love hearing you say that you love your body now. Did you ever think you were going to say those words come out your mouth?
No, because now
I agree.
It's not perfect at all, but I do love it.
But I love the way you talk about it. It's such respect. And I think that's my own journey too. I had such respect at the end of, I'm so sorry, I didn't know how to take care of you before, and I know how to take care of you now. And that's what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah. And there's also a grief process in that, the step from realizing that I've just been trying to fix it so I could get back to whatever, and ignoring what the signals, the feather and the bricks and the trucks.
Yes.
And that was also the process I had to ask myself and write a lot about. Am I worthy of being free and pain-free and having a good life? I never consciously thought about that, but I had a lot of issues telling me another story.
That's really interesting. And where do you think that originated from?
I think it's connected with the feeling that I need to be and do in a certain way if I want people to love me. That my self-worth was very low. So I believed in the paradigm that I needed to be perfect. I needed to be better than good or excellent. I just needed to be the best. And still I wasn't sure if they were going to love me.
And it's almost like if I do enough, then I am enough. And I think that sets up in childhood, doesn't it?
Yeah, but then it's like a wheel, because then I do enough, and of course people around me are also interested in themselves, so they perhaps do not recognize how much I try to do for them. So it's like a wheel. So I think, okay, then I have to do a little more, and then I begin to invent needs they don't have, but I'm trying to fulfill all these needs that they don't have, but I believe they have. So it's like really a spinning wheel.
And I'm really hearing how it's amazing that you've recognized that. And obviously with the tools like the journaling, the meditation, it really allows for that self-reflection, doesn't it? To really go, what am I doing? This person doesn't even appreciate it, and they've not even asked me. And some part of me just feels like on a spinning wheel, like a hamster wheel, going round and round and round. If I do enough, and then I am enough, and anticipate what people need ahead of them even knowing or thinking what it is that they need, but having no relationship with myself. And is it any wonder our bodies before went, hello, time out, we're on strike. You are going to be in so much pain because I need to get your attention.
It's a good plan. It works.
It does, but it's a concept, isn't it? And I think the journey is recognizing that is what the body's trying to do. When you're saying, I love my body now, and how much it's been through, but also the power that it has to heal. But it needs to be like in a partnership role. It can't be a dominating role on the body. No. I used to think I had to chop my head off. I could just stick this head on another body, I'd be fine. But this head would have driven that other body to the same result.
For sure.
And it's recognizing our past and our history and the people that were around and that are might trigger certain elements and patterns of behavior, and recognizing that actually the more we learn about the cells, then we can recognize that it's somebody else's responsibility. Not our we don't have to take on and shoulder everybody in the world's responsibility. That's not our job.
And I really think that the journaling has been a huge thing in realizing that. At one time I had completed a journal, and it was lying around, and then I think 2 or 3 months after I wrote it, and I read it, and I was like terrified, because the journal was full of me writing about how bad my husband was. I was really trying to get it all out, and I did, but my focus was really on how bad he was. So it was one thing was the journaling was very good, but reading it afterwards made me find so many patterns and take good decisions on, okay, that I don't believe that I'm going to heal my marriage, or we are going to heal our marriage, if that's my focus. I need to change my focus. So both the journaling and the reading of my journals has been a big thing in realizing who I am, and the things that I do without recognizing them, that I do unconsciously. Just like, yeah, I think I'm that person, so I just do that instead of questioning myself. Did that make sense?
Yeah, I normally caution women not to read their journal until at least 6 months after.
Yeah, okay.
But only because of the self-judgment that sometimes we can have. But I think you're right. It's recognizing patterns.
Yeah.
Why do I do that? Or why did I say that? I bumped into somebody on my stair yesterday and I said something. I thought, why did I say that? I didn't need to say that. That was, not that I was being self-critical, but I thought, okay, so we, and it's just increasing our awareness about ourselves and recognizing that awareness, I think, is 50% of changing anything.
Yeah.
That's half the battle. And I think it just allows us to sometimes see things from a different perspective. If they're written down, they're out of here, which churning up hormones and adrenaline and cortisol and takes you down into a spiral. But if it's on paper, suddenly you can go back several months later and go, oh my goodness, bless yourself. You were so worried and upset by something, and look at past. All these things always pass, and look how strong you were, and look how capable you were, and look what you did. And so it's helping to build that relationship of awareness, but also compassion, I think.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Compassion. Yeah, because that was, I haven't thought about that, but that was what I got. I got compassion for the goal I had. And I wasn't working towards it. I thought I was by journaling, but I was like making the same pattern again and again and again, and I wasn't getting anywhere.
Yeah, but that's brilliant, because sometimes you can, as I say, I normally say 6 months, just because you have more compassion for yourself after that. If it's too soon, then you'll go, look at this, look at my writing. But yet you start to see the patterns, and then you kind of recognize, oh my goodness, I thought this, but actually I'm doing this, or I'm not going where I'm headed, or I thought I was headed, or actually that's their responsibility, not my responsibility. Our responsibility is us, first and foremost. But our challenge is that we are so connected to everything and everyone. That bringing that ball back goes right back to the balancing, bringing it back to us is the journey, is the quest, isn't it? Recognizing that we have this power, and sometimes we don't even know what's happening because we're just in survival. You've mentioned stress. Most people live in chronic. Our bodies are designed to handle stress for short periods. They call it eustress, I think it is, and for short periods of time, and then go back to balance. But the problem nowadays is people are dialed up in high levels of chronic, debilitating, high-pressured stress all the time. So no wonder the body ends up screaming.
No. But also the intuition, was that correctly said? Your intuition. Yeah, great. Thank you. From journaling, it's like it's been reborn, if it's ever been there. But it's like
but I think it was always there, and that's why the body was speaking. And maybe that, like you say, if we're thinking we're not enough, then we don't learn to trust. That intuition is like a seed. It's always been there. It's just not been given the environment in which to grow. And that kind of biofeedback and that neurofeedback into trusting your intuition and your instincts.
Because the trust of my body, of myself, and also my intuition has changed a lot. And I think that's so. It's also, the journaling has also been like a learning process. That's not only now the 20 minutes I journal, it's the whole day, because I've got contact with another way of communicating or reflecting or my intuition. It's just like my way of working with myself has changed. So I don't find myself in the holes where I argue a lot with myself or tell myself that I'm not good enough. And I did that a lot when I was younger, like hitting myself. I grab off yourself, like give myself. And I was really tough with myself. That part is gone. It's still there, but it doesn't get allowed to drive the wheel.
No, but it sounds in balance. There's that perfectionist part in us which we have to thank. It was trying to protect us. It was keeping us safe. If we weren't enough, we didn't do enough, then some part of us felt we were in fear of being cut out of the tribe or harmed or hurt or whatever. So that evolved and that was created for a good reason. But it's when it goes out of balance and it becomes self-harming and self-depreciating and makes us miserable and worthless, then that's when we have to have a meeting round the table of your parts to go, I think we need to renegotiate the terms of the balance. And that's self-love, I think, at its best, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's so inspiring because I get contact with so many parts of myself.
Yes.
So taking the round table, it's more fun. To do the inner work because I believe that it's good stuff they're going to tell me, my inner parts. It's supportive. I see it, I feel it, and I trust it.
That's fantastic to hear.
Yeah, and I think really that's the journaling has been really an education in inner work. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what do you think, when you look back to little you at your confirmation service in your white dress at 14 years old? What would you say to her now if you could just hug her?
I would tell her that she's good enough, and I think that would be give her love. She needed so much love because she didn't believe in it. So that was, I feel a lot of love and comfort, and that would be my first choice, to give her love. And deep, briefly continue to breathe, because that's a way of staying in contact with yourself, and not shutting yourself down if you breathe, because we do that when we get
in our heads.
In our heads, and
we do that very short, shallow breathing rather than, and sometimes it can be quite painful to breathe deeply because I'm so used to that shallow breathing. So
I think that would be my advice, to first give her some love, and then ask her, please breathe.
And what has the journey taught you about yourself? So you've been on this quest, and it's been a bumpy road. And I always like to use the analogy that, or my belief is that you've been in training. You've been through a training camp. It's been really one that you didn't choose and you would prefer not to have had, but it made you who you are today. And for that, I'm thankful, because you're here now and everything. But what do you think it's taught you, the journey?
It's so simple, but it's that it's okay that I'm not perfect. That would be
that you're okay, that I'm okay.
Yeah.
And
then the little, it's okay that I'm not perfect. I'm just not perfect yet. I'll come to that point.
I like to use the analogy, I'm perfectly imperfect.
And
it just keeps that kind of reminder as we all gravitate, because all these subconscious conditionings, all the conscious conditionings that you've got to be perfect, are sometimes triggered
Yeah.
and reinforced in a lot of women. And sometimes you have to, as you say, come back to your breath, come back to your journal, go, whoa, wait a minute. Let's go to the vegetable garden or pick some raspberries off the bush. Let's get this back into perspective, you know?
Yeah.
And that's it. I think that is very special, what you've said.
Yeah.
I know with the women that we work with, when they're saying they feel like they can come home to themselves, that I am enough as I am, it actually does a strange thing. It allows for faster growth in the areas that are nurturing spiritually and emotionally than this, I've got to be perfect, because then you are switched off to your parts. You are in constant stress and your body's just saying enough.
Yeah. And also that even though I am imperfect, I can still do good things.
Yeah, I like to think you're perfectly imperfect, because it means you are a work in progress. And you look at nature, I mean, look at your vegetables. I'm sure there's all sorts of ones that there's still a carrot or there's still a cauliflower, and there might be different shapes and sizes, but I bet they taste really good.
Yeah.
You know, and it's recognizing that, it's our uniqueness, it's our fingerprint, it's and of course you do good stuff. And that's those parts that have been triggered when you were younger, that if you weren't, and I have to watch that too. I'm a workaholic in remission. You know what? That was my addiction, was workaholism. And I can see if but I'm really parent myself now. I put stuff in my calendar for myself. I do reminders. I've got remind yourself to go and have your lunch, or remind yourself to go and have your meditation, like I would do to a dentist appointment or an optician's appointment. I make sure that I'm as important as I would be for any other appointment. And that has been my learning, but it's challenging because it's counter to conditioning, which was I have to be available all the time to everybody and be like that, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, and be perfect in the process.
Yeah, look good and
100% perfect. Yeah,
that's right.
Don't have a bad day. Be in a good mood all the time. Be positive all the time. It's exhausting. Yeah. And I don't know about you on my journey. I just loved authentic people. I loved people that shared, like, you know what? Life isn't a bowl of cherries. You know, there are seeds in the cherries, and sometimes those seeds we plant and we grow other stuff, you know. And I think if more people shared that it's a bumpy ride, but the focus is in sight. If you follow the supportive tools that are, I believe, emotionally and spiritually supportive, you know, that really allow the intuition, those instincts, balance to be created, then as a human, we can just go, you know what, the learning of this spiritual life that we're on is that we're okay as we are. Yeah. You know, we are okay. Yeah. And there's something really it still gives me goosebumps. There's something really satisfying when I hear women say that. It's just nice. It just feels right. It feels rooted, grounded, and safe.
Yeah. That's right. I totally agree.
Well, I'm so proud of you for the journey that you've been on. I mean that.
Thank
you.
It's
not being easy. I can sense that. I don't know all the details, but I just sense the journey that you've been on. And you know, I really want to, I'm proud of all of your parts. I'm proud of all of you, because it's not just a singular part that got you here. What you've learned is it's pooling all the parts together, having a parenting part, having a higher power, universe, God, goddess, source, whatever you want to call it, and observing ourselves and just being accepting of ourselves, you know, and that acceptance allows for growth. So we get what we want, but we come at it from a different perspective.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, that gives growth. Yeah.
It took me a long time to figure that one out.
Yeah. That's wonderful. And you know what, Wendy, your book has been amazing for me, and I have really read it many times. I love all you write in it, but I think you have these things that the body can heal itself. You believe that it's possible to feel great again, and that was really I made like a team members. You were one of my team members. Because of your beliefs. Beliefs can be so amazing team members. So I borrowed your beliefs, and they really helped me through my journey.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. That means a lot to me to hear that.
Yeah. And also perhaps one day I will be ready to help other women with endometriosis. Right now I don't feel it.
Okay, but you're helped, but even just you being here.
Yeah, just talking about it helps. Because I know that there's still a bump I need to I need to find a way over. But again, you stand in front of all of us, and I am now I get emotional again.
It's okay, be emotional.
Yeah, but it's because it's so amazing what you do to so many people, letting us borrow your belief systems, letting us borrow your story, your words, your way of seeing this, and yeah, thank you.
Oh, like you're going to get me emotional now.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Yeah. That means a lot to me, because I remember that time in bed when I'm like, why is there not one book with everything in it? And I just need someone to believe in me. I need something to believe in until I can have my own belief system and get the biofeedback and the neurofeedback to go, oh my goodness, it is true. And I'm not the one that's not going to work for. Yeah. And I think it is that belief. There's some great books like The Magic of Thinking Big, but when it comes to the body, I think I used to be so inspired by people that would totally, that you put conditions like leukemia and cancer into remission. And I'm like, well, how come, like, why not me? I was how I changed it, you know, from the fear of what if I'm the one it doesn't work for? Well, why not me? And I think it is the belief. I think if I can get women to believe, like, if their finger can heal a cut, their body can heal, but it's the emotional and spiritual journey. And I think, and thank you, because that was always my intention, is to say, believe in my belief of you until you believe of you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's really amazing. And that's that's really something for us coming behind you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm super proud of you, Cristine. It's amazing.
Thank you. Really. And thank you for your beliefs.
Yeah, of course. And this is why I wanted to create medals, these little medals, because, you know, it says everything: effort, courage, discipline, respect, honor, pride, passion, and victory, you know. And there's all these people out there, like you were saying at the beginning of your story, saying these are your options. Nobody tells you at the beginning that there are other options, and it's terrifying, the options women are given. So even more reason to share what is possible, and keep building this EndoBoss community, of which you are absolutely a part of now.
That's so nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I'm hoping you're going to fly to Edinburgh and we can present you with a medal, so we can get a date in the calendar. And I'm actually going to be running my first in-person luxury retreat in October. So I've got about 8 or 9 spaces. So we'll send you details. Maybe that might be the bump. But I believe in-person work is my next thing. I'll always be doing this for the Endo women and progressing. But I believe in-person work is so powerful, with the right people in the right safe environment and the right approach. And so that's exciting.
That's very exciting. Yeah.
But look, thank you so much for being you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story. And I know the community will thank you as well for being an inspiration, for showing and sharing what is possible, because there's just so much negativity and scaremongering out there. So thank you for helping to be a beacon of light.
Thank you very much. And thank you for you and your work, Wendy. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I will look in my calendar and see if it's possible. That could be amazing.
Well, that would just be wonderful to meet you, give you a big hug, and have a cup of tea or a green juice or something like that. But look, you take care, and thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with Wendy K. Laidlaw, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and rate us. If you're interested in learning more, you can download your top 5 jumpstart tips at healendometriosisnaturally.com and jump on the VIP email list. Remember to keep you number one. The world needs a healthy you.